Hello and welcome to Logistics Middle East, Restarting the Supply Chain series. I'm your host and editor at ITP Media Group, Nikhil Pereira, and joining me on this edition is Farooq Shaikh, Chief Executive Officer at LogiPoint in Saudi Arabia. I'd like to welcome Mr. Shaikh. Pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
I want to jump straight in and ask you, Farooq, about give us a snapshot of the last 12 months.
Actually, we had quite active last 12 months, even before the corona and after. You must have followed us in the news where we were signing one deal after another just at the outset of corona till February. And we had Nikhil, Aramix, Amazon. We started the cross-border trade. We had sea-to-air trial shipment successfully done for the first time in Saudi Arabia, as well as all these efforts were recognized by the industry leaders, and we were awarded. We managed to snatch quite a few awards within the region for all these services that or new initiatives that were rolling out. So 12 months were quite busy, hectic. Things expectedly started to slow down a little bit since March, when the whole world was hit by this curveball. And but even during that period, also we have been quite on the mark, as the supply chain was announced as one of the key essential industries, and we were not really affected by lockdown that much.
From a client standpoint, what are some of the initiatives that have been carried out from your end to support customers during COVID-19, your customers?
See, we deal with a broad spectrum of clients. We have the world's blue chip companies with us, and then we also have SME, quite a sizable SME segment dependent on our services. So we did not have one solution that fits everyone. So we had to tailor make it. And actually, some of our customers supported us in that way and shared the burden, and so that we are able to sustain the business operations of our small customers who were expectedly struggling with the closure of a retail segment in the country, because they usually serve the small traders, small retailers. So what we actually did was the first and primary concern was, of course, ensuring that their cargoes don't get lost with the pileup. So providing them deferments, waivers from storage charges, and providing them extra space free of charge, so that they are able to store goods which were already on the water, and their customers, their shops were closed down. So that's why we had to support them in that. Then also their biggest concern was their cash flow, that how we can assist them in their cash flow. So of course it was natural for us that we tailor make our payment plans with them, so defer the payments, give them some grace periods. Also, but understand that we are also a business where we have a host of expenses to meet.
Yeah.
So wherever we could adjust, we have done it. Our big mega FMCG clients, of course, they had very strong balance sheets. So besides customary discussion, what we can do and here, then they never came back insisting no, because it's a fashion today to ask for a discount. Those customers know. They said no, we know that our business is doing well, and we are not in a position or in kind of a precarious position, so we will fulfill our obligations. So it was both ways.
Wonderful. I mean, it shows that there's honesty in the business world, which is always something that is a great touch point for anybody looking out from the outside.
Yes. Right.
I want to talk to you about LogiPoint's contribution towards the Kingdom's 2030 vision.
See, before it was called Kingdom 2030 Visions, quite a few of those initiatives were already on the table with various agencies, with various government authorities. We had at our own cost done the research, market research. We had prepared suggestions, presented it to them. With Vision 2030, it got the impetus to implement those.
Right.
So we were happy that I think I would say 90% of whatever we had recommended was adopted and rolled out. So what we are doing, one of the key pillars of Vision 2030 is logistics and supply. And this is where we are discussing with the authorities now how to implement. Okay, now the paperwork is done, the regulation is there, at least the framework is there. But adopting it, implementing it, and testing it out takes additional effort.
True.
That's the real play. So we are now rolling out in conjunction with Mawane, Saudi Customs, Ministry of Transportation, quite a host of initiatives where we are implementing the regulations or their intent of the regulations in the market and providing them the feedback as to what is working, what is not working.
You sort of touched on this earlier with your ability to defer payments and to be a soft spot to the companies that were struggling a bit during the height of the pandemic. But what are some of the advantages that you feel, in your view, as LogiPoint as compared to your competitors, not only in Saudi, but maybe across the region?
See, what we have is we are next to the largest consumer market in the region, I would say, in GCC, Mecca, Medina, and Jeddah. So it's the consumption that drives our business. Now, traditionally, Saudi Arabia has been a very, I would say, just behind all the other countries when it comes to meeting its requirements. So other countries have taken advantage of it. Now, Saudi Arabia is waking up. Okay, it's a potential. It should have been other way around, that the hub should be in KSA and we should be serving the other smaller neighbors from KSA. So what LogiPoint does is actually at the heart of it, especially our boundary export zone, with now VAT, custom duty, again taking the central stage in government budgetary plans. Here we are providing a hub to traders where they can store, they can reassemble light manufacturing, and then distribute not only to Saudi Arabia, but as well as to the region. Then for whatever traditionally was being done in Jebel Ali because of a very business-oriented approach is now being adopted in Saudi Arabia as well, or rather a step ahead in that regard. Since we provide an integrated solution, that you don't have that many companies which are into logistics parks and they have an integrated services arm. Because these are two different business models. One is a real estate play, other one is an operational services play. So there are very few players in the market who cover end to end with own resources. Usually other players outsource it. They have 3PL model, 4PL model, or 2PL model. They outsource it. Whereas we have insourced it, so the customer only has one window to deal with.
It's been a fascinating insight to know so much from you in this short time, and I'd quite like to finally end this interview knowing what are your plans for the future? What are your strategies for the next 6 to 12 months?
Actually, you would be surprised to know that this pandemic forced us to bring our investment plans forward, not defer them. Okay, so it was a mix and match. Something that we were supposed to do 2 years down the road, we have already started the work on our next warehousing complex in the boundary zone, as well as one in Jeddah South. So because what we saw that the pandemic forced people to rethink their whole supply chain strategy. So now they want to store goods or have a distribution point closer to consumption point.
Right.
And suddenly we are at 110% of our warehousing capacity already full, because we have short-term storage moving so fast. So that's why we are expanding our warehousing capacity, plus we are expanding our fleet. So for us, pandemic was other way around. It gave us a breather, but also it forced us to bring forward our investment plans. So we are quite upbeat about our future, and inshallah, things are going to work out. as we plan.
That's amazing. I mean, positive sentiments again coming out of the business community, and not just by a few months, but you just mentioned bringing your investment plan ahead by 2 years, which is huge in business terms. So we can only wish you all the best, Farooq, and we also thank Waleed for enabling this interview and getting it all together. We wish you all the best, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Nikhil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikhil. It's a pleasure talking to you again.